We are looking at Lexi's Butterfly Above the Water, commentary by Coach Chris. First thing we're going to do is watch it at full speed. Now, a lot of the stuff I can kind of criticize is real fine nitpicking. Lexi's done a great job of learning a lot of the skills and developing a lot of the skills last year that we're still trying to develop in a lot of the other swimmers in the group. So she is doing an excellent job. A lot of the stuff that we're going to talk about here today is kind of advanced stuff, and it's stuff that she's already talked. We've talked about a lot of this, but I'm also going to try and touch on a lot of the good stuff, the progress she's made, so that we can also discuss how she's improved, because I see a lot of great stuff when I watch her swim. Now we're going to run it half speed. Now, the first thing I want you to watch as you're watching this is just she's not pressing the chest too hard down. She's not diving underwater. She's what I call a skipping stone butterfly. See how she comes up and forward. She goes down a little bit to drive the kick, but she's mostly like a stone skipping across the water. That is exactly what we want to do with that butterfly. Kind of skip across the surface, come up for that stroke, for that recovery, go forward with it, and then drive back down a little bit to drive the kick. But really, really good stuff. Okay, now the one thing we've talked about, and this is really fine nitpicking, is as we go back, let's frame back a little bit, slow it down a little bit. If you watch her hands enter, she keeps the pinky up, the hand turned and twisted a little too late into the stroke. So watch this. Hand sweeps around. See how that pinky's up right at the front end of the stroke? We'll catch it. Okay, so here she is already about to enter. She's kind of fully extended, and we can still see that pinky up. See it right here? Right there, we got that pinky pointed right up in the air. That is a very hyperextended position. Starts putting a lot of strain on those shoulder muscles. And what we've talked about is kind of letting that, at the very end of the stroke, kind of let that hand naturally tilt a little bit. You don't need to be palm flat. I don't want to be palm flat, but I want to be kind of like at an angle. So, kind of like, just like this. Just like at a tilted angle, about 45 degrees. Something nice and natural to that joint. Because at this point, when she's twisting that arm and keeping that pinky up that late, it's not a natural position for that joint. It starts really twisting up some of the muscles, and it'll cause a lot of fatigue, especially on longer distance butterflies. So keeping it relaxed up front is part of the key to improving her butterfly endurance. But that being said, she's doing a fantastic job of sweeping out. Her hands are the last thing in the water. You can see her hands are still out, her arms are still out as her body's submerging and she's driving the kick. That is exactly what we look for this stroke. So her sweep, everything, right on, spot on, really good drive of the kick. Her hands are the last things that are. Look at how little splash there is. That's something that I've commented on a lot of the other videos, because we have kids with a lot of splash. That is a very good butterfly when you have a very little amount of splash up front, because you're keeping control of the arms. So she's doing a really, really, really good job with that. The only problem is, in order to do it, and it could possibly be her age, as she gets bigger and gets stronger and gets a little older and more mature, she might have a little more support from other muscles in her shoulder area, her shoulder cradle, that'll allow her to support the arm. Right now, she might be twisting that hand because she's recruiting muscles to keep the arm up. And because she's still a little kid, still developing, she doesn't quite have the proper muscles to keep the arm up, so she's recruiting the muscles she can. That's my instinct. So I'm not really, because I know she's tried to change this and she's having a lot of problems changing it, but I don't know if it's necessarily something that she's going to be able to change quickly, because I think it could also be just a physiological fact that she's not quite strong enough with the other support muscles in her shoulder cradle to be able to hold the arm in that position without twisting that pinky up. So I think it may be a necessity. Who knows? We'll keep trying. We'll keep drilling. We'll keep working on it and talking about it. But with all the good stuff that I'm seeing with her butterfly, that is not an issue for me. You can see how high her hips are in the water, high she's skipping. That's just really good stuff. That's exactly what I look for, even on an elite level butterflyer. It's really good. Nice early head lift on a breath. Nice early head plunge on the finish of the breath. She gets her head up at the beginning of the stroke nice and early, gets the head down nice and early. I mean, her timing is really, really good. Let's go ahead and swap underwater, because a lot of the stuff we can look at and focus on will be the underwater video. Above water, I'm seeing a lot of good stuff.